baby, let's go! One more time for the home team. Woo! What's good, Buck Nation? It's your Rude Boy, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Tough Bucks. So let's giddy up. Coming into week 15, the Buccaneers had their sights on adding another W to their record and stacking another win to their current streak. The odds were in Tampa Bay's favor as they were going up against the depleted Detroit Lions. Well, it wouldn't be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer game if Jameis Winston didn't throw a pick on the very first drive of the game, and right on cue, that's what Jameis did. This is Winston's 5th time doing so, obviously the most in the NFL. Some would joke that he may have thrown that pick just to get it out of his system, because after that, Jameis played lights out for the rest of the game. He would add 4 more touchdown throws to his season total, surpassing the franchise record he set in 2016. He is also the first player ever in NFL history to record 2 straight games with 450 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Not Brett Favre, not Drew Brees, not Tom Brady, not Aaron Rodgers, not Peyton Manning, ya boy, Jameis Winston. Let's go! With stud receiver Mike Evans sidelined due to a hamstring injury, the receiving core of the Bucs stepped up. Scotty Miller would catch his very first career touchdown, but would leave the game as he re-aggravated a hamstring injury. Chris Godwin had yet another efficient game, leading the team in yards, but left the game in the third quarter and was another victim to suffer a hamstring injury. Bruce, can you get your boys to stretch before the game? I mean, come on, what's going on here? The offensive line had a great game in terms of pass protection, giving Winston a clean pocket and time to make deep throws. The run blocking, on the other hand, wasn't as good, as the rushing attack was non-existent yet again. This is an area of the offense the Bucs will have to address in the offseason because Barber and Jones, for whatever reason, ain't cutting it. However, even though the run game was unsuccessful, Byron didn't completely give up on it because the volume of runs helped set up the play action, which was a big factor in this game. On the defensive side, the Bucs started off hot, holding the Lions to 6 yards rushing and -5 passing yards in the first quarter. Shaq Barrett recorded another sack and ties a single-season franchise record set by Warren Sapp with 16.5. Ndamukong Suh would return to the Motor City where he started his NFL career and got a sack of his own. Levante David and Jamel Dean both had good games in terms of coverage. David was phenomenal with his open field tackles, and Dean had a couple of passes defended, and could have had himself a pick 6 earlier in the game had he held on to the ball. This game was looking like a slobber knocker by the Bucs, but in the second half the defense wasn't as impressive as they were in the first. They would surrender 14 unanswered points, and for a moment there, it looked like they were going to blow the lead, something Buc fans are used to. As the Lions were driving for the tie with 5 minutes and 12 seconds in the fourth quarter, a hero emerged in the form of Detroit native Sean Murphy-Bunting, who saved the game with a 70-yard pick 6. Giddy up, Sean! This week's Tough Buck Award goes to my guy, Brashard Perryman. You thought I'd forgotten about the speedster. Not this guy. This was a homecoming of sorts for Perryman, as his father, Brett Perryman, played for the Lions from 1991 to 96. And this was by far Perryman's best game of his 4-year career, catching 3 touchdowns. A lot of trolls out there in the Intertron were talking mad about Perryman and voiced that the Bucs need to cut him, but boy were those jabronis wrong, because the connection between Perryman and Winston of late has been starting to gel. In the first 10 games of the season, Perryman only registered 95 yards and 1 touchdown, but in the last 4 games, he has 314 yards and 4 touchdowns. One thing's for sure, with the injuries to Evans and Godwin, the Bucs will rely on Perryman to carry the load. Here's to you, Brashard. With this win, the Bucs are now on a 4-game winning streak and have won 5 of the last 6 games. They will return to Tampa for their final 2 games and will be looking to spoil the Houston Texans' playoff run. This matchup will be a good measuring stick as to how good the Bucs really are. With their close win against the Titans, the Houston Texans are now in control of the AFC South, but will have to beat a red-hot Buccaneers team in order to clinch. The Texans are led by quarterback Deshaun Watson, who had an up and down game last week, most notably for throwing 2 picks inside the Titans' 1-yard line. And as for their stud receiver DeAndre Hopkins, he had a relatively slow start to the game with only 2 catches for 21 yards in 3 quarters. But in the 4th quarter, he had 4 catches for 119 yards. Running back Carlos Hyde accounted for 104 yards rushing and a touchdown in their victory. This is definitely a top 10 offense. The defense of the Texans have struggled since Jadeveon Clowney's trade and JJ Watt's injury. The Texans have given up at least 30 points in 4 of their 5 defeats. The Bucs will be going up against their former first-round draft pick Vernon Hargreaves, who will be looking to get a pick off Jameis Winston. Something that, quite frankly, is possible. The key matchup for this game will be the Bucs' young secondary against the number 6 receiver in the league in DeAndre Hopkins and a capable Kenny Stills, who had a big game last week against the Titans. Since week 10, the cornerbacks of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been playing very well as a unit. It took them long enough, but let's see if they can keep it going against a good passing attack of the Texans. The receiving core of the Bucs are dropping like flies. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and rookie Scotty Miller are all out with hamstring injuries. Will Jameis Winston continue to put up big numbers with a bunch of backups on the field? I don't think so, but we'll see if they can do just enough. Last week I split my picks, hitting on the spread, but whiffing on the over-under. The Buccaneers are 3-point underdogs in this one, and this is going to be a tough matchup because the Bucs offense is so banged up. The Bucs can't run the ball, but they do have the top rushing defense and will look to hold Carlos Hyde to low yardage. This will surely be an aerial affair because the pass defense on both teams are not good. It's hard to believe the Bucs can pull out a win without their stud receivers, but I'm sticking with my prediction of them winning out the season. I'm taking the Bucs to win. The over-under is set at 50.5 points. The Bucs are giving up 28 points per game, whereas the Texans are giving up 24 points per game. This is a no-brainer, folks. I'm taking the over on this one. And that's our Week 16 preview of the Houston Texans versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me know who you think will win this game by leaving a comment below. Like and subscribe, and if you're a real tough Buck, then click that bell icon so that you get real-time notifications on when new videos drop. So until next time, Buck Nation, keep firing them cannons.